Hey guys, thank you for watching the SlatRock channel. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and check out our other high-rated videos in the description below. But first, back in the good old days, promoters were able to manipulate whom the fans cheer for and whom they booed. Throw out an evil foreigner against an all-American boy and there was no doubt who was the heel and who was the face. That being said, it would be a mistake to assume that the fans have always cheered for faces and always booed heels, even in the day when many fans believed wrestling was a legitimate sport. Even in the days of kayfabe, there were a few heels who some fans found too good to resist cheering. Men like Freddie Blassie and superstar Billy Graham had their contingents of fans who cheered them while everyone else was booing them. In the past, setting wrestlers up as babyfaces and heels wasn't rocket science, but it's changed over time. This changed considerably during the Attitude Era. Vince McMahon himself made it clear that the WWF was no longer telling the stories of moral absolutes, and there were a lot of shades of gray. Over time, these words have come back to bite Vince in the ass that has its own special club, with fans making their likes and dislikes well known. Here are 10 instances where the fans' cheers quickly turned to boos, forcing WWE to turn them heel. Number 10. Doink the Clown. Doink the Clown, in his evil clown persona as played by the late Matt Bourne, was fantastic from 1992 to 1993. In an era of occupational gimmicks, heel Doink was one of the best, and was made even better by the fact that Bourne was a rather skilled wrestler. But Vince McMahon had to play it up for the kiddie audiences, and Doink was eventually turned face, effectively taking away everything that was so cool about him as a bad guy. Babyface Doink, 1993 to 1995, was played by Ray Apollo, and by the time this kid-friendly iteration had a little person sidekick named Dink, crowds were chanting, "Kill the Clown," showing their disappointment over Vince watering down what used to be one of the most evil clowns this side of Pennywise. Number 9. Santino Marella. It might surprise recent WWE fans, but Santino Marella wasn't always the much-adored, goofy babyface who engaged in dance-offs with divas and wrestlers alike. Santino debuted as a fan on the April 16, 2007 episode of Raw in Milan, Italy, with Vince McMahon picking Marella to fight Intercontinental Champion Umaga. Marella scored an unlikely victory thanks to the help of Bobby Lashley, winning the Intercontinental belt in what became known as the Milan Miracle. Marella's fluke win in subsequent matches where he retained the title only by the skin of his teeth didn't help get him over. When the Samoan Savage regained the Intercontinental Championship for Marella on the July 2, 2007 Raw, Marella had already worn out his welcome. The WWE turned Santino into a comedic heel, and as we know, the slight change helped Santino establish himself to a character the WWE fans actually cared about. Number 8. The Honky Tonk Man. Younger fans may be surprised to learn that the Honky Tonk Man originally debuted in WWF in 1986 as a babyface. Unfortunately, fans crapped on the gimmick and he was on the verge of losing his TV time and eventually losing his job. However, the Honky Tonk Man, aka Roy Wayne Ferris, didn't give up, and that's what led to a series of vote of confidence vignettes that were meant to transform him into an evil Elvis impersonator. As expected, fans, in storyline and in real life, gave him a convincing downvote, thus turning him heel. All in all, it was a smart move for WWF Creative, who made the best out of a bad situation and turned Honky into one of the most effective bad guys the company had in the 80s. Not to mention the self-proclaimed greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. Number 7. Alberto Del Rio. Some wrestlers can play the babyface or heel equally well. Guys like Chris Jericho and The Rock have shown this repeatedly, while others like Randy Orton and Alberto Del Rio, not so much. Del Rio plays the cocky heel to perfection, dishing out punishment in the ring and brutalizing opponents in a way that you want to see him get what's coming to him. When WWE decided to turn Del Rio face, things didn't go as planned, even when they pit him against an ultra-nationalistic Jack Swagger. After all, he is the all-American American. Reality set in when a heel Dolph Ziggler cashed in his Money in the Bank contract to beat Del Rio for the World Heavyweight Championship on the April 8, 2013 Raw, and the fans cheered Ziggler, showing that the fans were less enthused with a babyface Alberto. After finishing his feud with Swagger, a face Del Rio returned to the ranks of the bad guys, pulling off a double turn at 2013's Payback pay-per-view against then-heel Dolph Ziggler. Number 6. Randy Orton. Orton was a member of the fantastic Class of 2002 that debuted that year, including John Cena, Batista, and Brock Lesnar. Orton got off to a wishy-washy start, but when the WWE put him in Evolution, he quickly got over as the Legend Killer, a young star looking to make a name for himself at the expense of WWE legends. During a nearly 7-month-long reign as Intercontinental Champion, Orton would hold the belt from December 14, 2003 to July 11, 2004, the longest reign in 7 years. The Legend Killer set his sights on the hardcore legend Mick Foley, defeating Foley in brutal bouts at 2004's WrestleMania 20 and Backlash pay-per-views. Just 4 months later, Orton defeated Chris Benoit for the World Heavyweight Championship at SummerSlam, becoming the youngest world champion in WWE history. When Evolution's leader Triple H demanded Orton relinquish the belt to him, Orton refused, turning babyface. The turn ended up being a bad move, as Orton lost the killer instinct that made him so good as a heel. It didn't help that Orton lost the belt to Triple H at the Unforgiven pay-per-view less than a month after winning it. Orton's inability to regain the belt from Hunter in subsequent rematches made him look even weaker, with WWE fans showing little interest in this upcoming star as a face. This forced WWE to turn Orton back to a heel. Orton RKO'd his storyline girlfriend Stacy Keibler on the March 28, 2005 edition of Raw, sending a message to his WrestleMania 21 opponent The Undertaker that the Legend Killer was back. Orton's heel turn rejuvenated his career, and he would go on to feud with The Undertaker, Rey Mysterio, John Cena, and Shawn Michaels, eventually winning the World Heavyweight and WWE Championships on multiple occasions. Number 5. Bret Hart. This was a situation where the WWF was partly to blame for their fans booing the once popular excellence of execution. With Stone Cold Steve Austin becoming a rising star and the WWF going away from its traditional face versus heel battles, it became clear that not everyone was rallying behind good guy Bret Hart. Factor in Bret Hart's dissatisfaction with some of the promotion's racy angles, and the WWF had an opportunity to try something very different. Hart began criticizing the United States and the American fans, showing his disgust with America and what he labeled as questionable morals. At the same time, he remained a babyface in Canada, praising his homeland and standing alongside his fans. Number 4. Batista. After ditching the awful gimmick of Deacon Batista, the Reverend Devon Dudley's enforcer, Dave Batista made up for lost time under the guidance of the legendary Nature Boy Ric Flair. As 2003 began, Batista joined Triple H's Evolution stable, working alongside Randy Orton and Ric Flair and quickly climbing the ladder of success. Batista would win the World Tag Team Championship with Evolution stablemate Ric Flair at 2003's Armageddon pay-per-view, a night when all 4 members of Evolution wore championship belts. From 2003 to 2005, Batista helped Triple H hang on to the World Heavyweight Championship. That is, until 2005, when Batista won the Royal Rumble and defeated Triple H for the championship at WrestleMania 21. Over the next 5 years, Batista would remain a main event player until creative differences and a desire to focus on acting led to his 2010 departure. In 2014, Batista returned to the WWE as a babyface, entering that year's Royal Rumble Battle Royal and winning the event. In Batista's case, he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. The fans liked Batista, but they loved rising stars like Reigns and Daniel Bryan. The WWE Universe wasn't willing to cheer Batista on over its new favorites, and they made their displeasure known. Nothing had changed about Batista except the WWE was using him in a role fans wanted to see filled by Bryan and Reigns. The WWE had no choice but to turn Batista heel, giving in to his nickname Bootista, and reuniting him with Evolution teammates Randy Orton and Triple H to feud with The Shield. In June 2014, Batista left the WWE, apparently over creative differences. Number 3. The New Day. When The New Day premiered on the November 28, 2014 SmackDown with their big smiles, positive attitudes, and gospel-infused entrance theme, fans couldn't help but wonder if this was some kind of parody being played by Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods, and Big E. Fans quickly discovered it wasn't, and the trio's sickening Sweet Sunshine and Happiness act turned off fans in droves. At that point, few people could have predicted that The New Day would become Raw's tag team champions, much less achieve a record-setting reign. With fans raining on the New Day parade, the WWE turned them heel less than 5 months after their debut. As sometimes happens, the heel turn resulted in the New Day tweaking their gimmick just enough to win the fans' respect. Here, the New Day shifted from the gospel theme to an over-the-top power of positive thinking gimmick, resulting in fans cheering the New Day even while they wrestled as heels. The New Day's addition of a trombone by Xavier Woods, the incorporation of unicorn horns, and their cereal Booty-O's delighted the fans, to the point where the New Day are reportedly one of the WWE's top merchandise sellers. Number 2. Rocky Maivia. Rocky debuted to much fanfare in 1996, receiving heavy promotion as the WWF's first third-generation superstar and a heavy push to go with it. After winning a victory for his team at 1996's Survivor Series, everyone thought he was destined to succeed in this business. However, fans had other plans. Rocky would not connect with the fans very much during the end of 1996 and early 1997, despite WWF positioning him to be a future higher-up on the card face. It didn't work out that way. Now, Rocky would win the Intercontinental title from Triple H, and that's when everything took a drastic turn. Rocky began getting booed terribly, and nothing he did worked at all. He wasn't bad in the ring, but there was nothing major to make him stick out. He had no personality, he had no charisma on display as mentioned before. He gave us no reason to be invested, and the WWF didn't do a good job with his booking and presentation. The low point has to be between April 1997 and May 1997, where the chants of Rocky sucks and even signs that said "Die Rocky Die" came about. This unapologetic hatred towards Rocky Maivia would force WWE to pull back and reintroduce the man behind the character, the man who became known as The Rock. The man who not only made a higher name for himself in the wrestling business, but also in Hollywood. Number 1. Hulk Hogan. Before WCW once again did the unthinkable with Hulk Hogan, the fact that he had signed with the company in 1994 was, in itself, unthinkable at the time. WWF's biggest babyface of the 1980s was welcomed into WCW with a flashy motorcade and was immediately hyped up as a messenger from God, who would help Ted Turner and company beat WWF to a pulp. Alas, that wasn't going to happen overnight, not by a long shot. At first it was just scattered boos for the Hulkster, but as 1995 made way to 1996, more and more WCW fans were tired of the same old red and yellow, say your prayers and eat your vitamins rhetoric Hogan was churning out. So what are you gonna do when Hulkamania gets met with boos? Turn the man heel, that's what. The reveal as Hulk as the mysterious third member of the New World Order helped WCW dominate WWF in the ratings for most of mid-1996 through 1998. So there you have it, fans, 10 instances where the WWE Universe refused to be told whom to cheer for, once again proving that anything can happen in the WWE. What other superstars do you think fit this category? Leave us a comment below and be sure to like this video. If you do like this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to get more videos just like this one. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get notified every time we post a new video. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+, and as always, thanks for watching.